So what led to you getting your first case, and ultimately your first bid?
So yeah, we were just, robbing somebody, and it turned into like a robbery slash kidnapping because we did take the person. And then it was a
How'd
group.
that happen?
Oh, it just, like I said, it was off impulse. One of the dudes was like, I know this guy who has money, let's make some money. There was like four of us. So we were like, yeah, let's do it, and we didn't think too deep about it. I think he was selling drugs at the time. So we were like, well, if we rob a drug dealer, then all his money that he's making, it'll become ours. Right? Real simple surface level thinking. And yeah, ended up, doing it, going through with it, catching this dude basically, kind of lured him out, and
How so?
robbed him.
How
Uh,
old were y'all, first of all?
I was 12.
How old?
Yeah,
Ah,
I was 12.
okay.
Everyone else was
So,
around
so you
like
12 on it.
like 16, so like something like that, teens.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Got you. Got you.
and
So you were 12 years old on a mission for a robbery slash kidnapping.
yeah,
And so it started out as a robbery.
yes.
And
And
so
then,
how did it evolve or devolve, as it were, right, to a kidnapping? 'Cause that's a whole nother level of crime, which
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
pretty sure you didn't know at the time.
yeah. We were gonna. Well, he had stuff at his house, and I guess he had brought just certain things with him in his car.
Oh,
So then
oh,
we took him into the car, and we forced him into, and that technically is a kidnapping. So,
yes, it is.
right. So, and we didn't know that. We was just like, bring us to the house, bro. Like, you know what I mean? And yeah. So they ended up basically snitching on us, and me being the youngest
Who, the
one.
victim? The
Yeah,
drug dealer?
yeah, yeah.
That didn't work. That didn't work out the way it was supposed to. Drug
Right.
dealers,
Yeah.
they're supposed to be the perfect victim.
Right.
They can't call the police, and they
Right.
got cash.
Yeah. But he
Was he
just
Asian?
he was, yeah, he was mixed. He was a mixed
Okay.
dude. Yeah, but he had Asian in him. I don't know
So
what else.
was
Yeah.
Asian and Hispanic?
Not Hispanic. I think it was like he might have been like half white or something. I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah, it
mhm.
was
Okay.
different, but yeah, he basically ended up telling, and I think because he had gotten caught for another case or something like that. And I don't know the full details. I just know all of a sudden they showed up. All of us got arrested. I remember,
Any of your compadres, did any of them turn?
no, they didn't.
Oh,
They
okay.
were like, since you're the youngest one, like kind of nudged me,
Hmm.
and I was like, all right, bet, and I figured that it was gonna be Um, just a few months, to be honest with you. I didn't think much. 12 years old, you don't know anything. And they say 4 years, and I was like, what? With the parole date of 2 years, right? So
Hmm.
2 years minimum, basically. And I'm like, dang, I've never been to juvie. Like, this is a place where it's gonna be, and I remember like, they were bringing up the case of my gang, like these people, murder for hire, extortion, blah, 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 blah. And this is a picture of him and blah, blah, like just showing all that stuff. And I'm like, dang. And yeah, there's just no remorse, man. I was 12 years old. But at that time, honestly, like there was a lot of kids who were doing crazy things. Like I had a couple friends who were already in YA for juvenile murder. So, they kind of built that up and was like, this kid is a validated kid. He's 12 years old. He participated in a kidnapping. Like a slap on the wrist is not going to change this kid. It's going to make him into a
Right.
monster. So we need to put him where he needs to go, which is they recommended youth authority. And I was like, I didn't even know what that really was. I was like, okay, whatever. But yeah, after that, I was like, man, that was
Other
crazy.
kids. I'm gonna be with other kids. Okay.
Yeah, basically,
Oh.
I'm gonna go be with the homies, but and I was with the homies, but it was like, man, that was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy.
So tell now this is your first time getting chopped. This is your first conviction. You going in. Now you're in here. I'm sure you got some homies in there, whatever. But the difference is, I would imagine, there's probably about 300-400 black kids, maybe 300 Mexican kids, and then probably a couple of dozen Asian kids.
Yeah, I would say under double digits, like probably 10 to some places I was at, some cottages I was like seven of us.
So, and I don't imagine they all watching either.
No, they're not. Yeah, yeah.
So I would imagine that some of them were probably opposition.
Yes. A lot
So
of
how
them
do you
actually. Yeah.
a lot?
Yeah.
So how do you manage that? How does young Johnny, 12-year-old Johnny, manage this whole new dynamic? Because I would imagine nobody ever told you that if this ever happened, that you'd be locked up and you'd be outnumbered
Right.
like ridiculously.
Right.
Pretty much you'd find yourself in the same situation you were in initially when you first got involved in the whole thing in the first
Right.
place.
Right.
Only a more isolated, confined kind of
Right.
circumstance.
Exactly.
All right.
I had like I said, a lot of our generation has been to prison, so they kind of explained it in a way
Mhm.
where, okay, you're going to YA, like whatever you do, represent. That's what I was told. Represent. Try to find some of the homies. They're like trying to figure out where I'm gonna get shipped to, so I would be in constant contact with them. And when I did tell them I was going to Nellis, they were like, okay, cool. Okay, that's a pretty crazy place. So you got to do this and that. They were trying to like teach me all the time that I had on the phone. But again, it's just like trying to read a book on swimming versus actually jumping in the water. It's completely
Right.
different, right? So when I get there, there was somebody who laced me up, which means they showed me the ropes, and that I learned a lot from that person, and I was like, man, this is crazy. Like,
Were they much older than you?
they were like, I was 12. I think he was 17, 16 or 17 at the time.
Oh.
So not much, but yeah, a little bit, and
Right. But he'd been bitten probably before you had.
absolutely. Yeah.
So now you're in YA. Can you remember your first night in YA?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, describe that.
It was traumatizing. First off, like that's the first time I had to get naked in front of somebody, like another person, and all of the stuff, lift up your this, bend over, do this. And I was just like so embarrassed.
Humiliating.
It was just shameful. Like that's the
Right.
first time I felt shame, I never had to do that, and these are in front of men, like grown correctional officers, and they're very like just angry all the time, like sergeant type of like, like
Drill sergeant type shit.
yeah, like just like do this, do that. All right, don't F around, man. You guys gotta like just screaming at us. And it was a straight culture shock, like when I went there. And that's when I started to because even up through the court dates, all that, I was okay. But when I was getting transferred, that's when I was like, man, this is the real deal now. Like it started to sink in. And when it sank in, that's when I just felt a little claustrophobic, actually. I felt like the walls was caving in. I felt like, oh, what's going on right now? And then, but the OG homies were like, that'll happen. That's going to happen. That's part of what it is. No matter what, don't cry, don't show fear. Like, keep it solid, basically, because you're representing something bigger than yourself, So, yeah. And then the first night I was there, I had kind of gotten certain looks because in YA, it's more gangbanging. It's not really like political in terms of, I mean, there's some politics, but it's not like prison. Prison's a whole nother world. So I had seen some people and I had seen certain, tattoos and, ex gang members and rival gang members and stuff like that. So I'm like, all right, I know these dudes, they probably gonna come up to me, So in the morning time was when I caught my first fight, go out to, chow basically. And right then and there, it's just like, what's up, man? Where you from? Oh, and they start banging on you. And I'm just like, oh, I'm from Wah Ching. And then they're like, oh yeah, FY. And we start just like that, and
no, this is another Asian banger. Okay.
yeah, there's some dude from Asian Boys, which was our biggest rival at the time.
Who's that?
Some dude from Asian Boys, which was our biggest
Asian
rival
Boys. Yes. Wah Ching and Asian Boys have some history.
Yeah.
Very interesting history. So, but now, like, Wah Ching, Asian Boys, y'all are in the system, and your numbers are like just not compatible to the numbers of the other ethnic groups. So, how long does it take you to understand that you need to form some kind of camaraderie with people you would otherwise be trying to hurt?
I mean, in YA, like it was, like I said, different, it seemed like everyone fought each other. It was weird. Like the essays would fight each other, the blacks would fight each other. So it was just like I said, a lot of gang banging. And of course, there's times where we would fight other races too. But it was really
Mhm.
not like big old riots like that. You know what I mean? Like for example, like the Southern Hispanics would be fighting the Northern Hispanics, but they're all Hispanics. You know, they're all
Right,
Mexicans. So like
right,
same thing, Bloods will be fighting Crips. Like it was just
right,
so
right,
we didn't really war with other people. We was warring with our we was called the Asian Pride, but like we was only fighting Asians. Like it was kind of weird, you know what I mean? But that's because we knew about each other. We're not gonna beef it with somebody 10 miles away from our city. We usually beef it with people in our vicinity, right? So
right,
those dudes, AB, Black Dragon, whatever, all these gangs, they were in our neighborhoods in San Gabriel Valley. So we knew of each other and we would just fight each other. So we never really had to click up in that aspect. Of course, we would stay clicked up just for, the purpose of the politics, but it was a lot of fighting and gangbanging on each other. Yeah.